Hello, hello, hello. Hello, people. So welcome to today's webinar. In this training, I'm going to be teaching you 3 effective Google algorithm search to find potential supervisors. There is a saying that I coined, which goes, "It is hidden, true, but not to those who know where it is located." So usually there are things that you do not know about, there are things that you think are missing information or probably don't even exist. But right at the end of it, it's because you do not know how to access those information, or you do not know people who have those information who can pass it on to you. So that is why this video, or in this webinar, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 quick search you can implement on Google and begin to make progress with your potential supervisor search. So for those who are just listening to this webinar for the first time, those who are just joining the community and just listening to us for the first time, you might be wondering who I am and why should you pay attention to me. You might be wondering why should you give me your attention. So I'll tell you, my name is Michael Adebayo. I'm a university president scholar at Exmaseo University. And over the course of 3 years, I've sent out more than 300 emails. I think about 4 or 5 years now. I've sent out more than 300 emails to supervisors across the globe. And after about 130 emails, I designed a formula that began to bring me results after so many rejections. Through this formula, I won 2 scholarships, 2 prestigious scholarships in France and in Australia. And it was through this strategy, after implementing them, that I began to get results, both from potential supervisors and from institutions. Also, as recent as April, I helped a prospective candidate land 2 interviews within 1 month. So that puts me in a position of authority to teach you, to train you, to speak with you on today's subject. So let's go straight into the training. So there are 3 methods I'm going to be teaching you today. There are more methods, but for this training, I am going to be teaching you 3 things you can quickly implement and use to figure out or search or look for potential supervisors. So the first Google algorithm search is research personnel in country. Research personnel in country. For example, professor of palynology in the USA. Professor of biochemistry in Canada. Now, pushing this algorithm through Google, what you are telling Google to do is to look for professors of this field who are research personnel in this country. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you. So let me take professor of palynology in US and also try professor of biochemistry in Canada. Quickly, I'm going to do this. So as you can see, here are the search engine results, and this is someone that I can reach out to. So let's see the page. So you can see that this person fits into what I am looking for using the search query I demonstrated. Now he brought me to Dr. Brian Axsmith's research area, and I can see that his interest is in fossil plants, paleobotany, and he says his interest is driven by his belief that many of the important questions in vascular plants, and it goes on and on and on. So from this page, I can see his research interests. I have his email. So chances are that I can write this person, because we have aligned interest, using the formula I taught in the previous webinar. You can see that if you deploy the training from the previous webinar, if you deploy the strategies from the previous webinar, you will be able to write this person concisely in a way that will also trigger interest in this professor. So that is an example of using the in function, the personnel in country function, to look for supervisors. You can decide to go beyond this person, because what that function did was bring me to Dr. Bryan's page. However, there are chances that there are other faculty members in this institution, University of South Alabama, that are also in this field. So getting to this page gives me opportunity to further explore their website. I'm not doing that now. You can do that when you try it out. But the essence is that it brings me to this page. It brings me to the exact person I am looking for, the profile of the kind of potential supervisor I am looking for. Palynology is a field in botany. It's a paleobotany field. It's a practice in botany. So chances are high that if I write this supervisor, I will get good response from him, depending on whether he has funding available or if he has any form of grant, or if he's able to support my application in any way. So that's one way of using Google and using this search query to access potential supervisors. The second, we can also try for Professor of Biochemistry in Canada. Right now, we can access Professor of Biochemistry in Canada. Again, let's look at where this brought us. So this brought us to this faculty page, the Faculty of Biochemistry Department, where you can search out the list of faculty. Now you can see this. To find out more about individual faculty members, see our faculty list. So when I click that, it brings me here. And you can see that you have tons of people. Just by looking through an overview, you can see whether this person is in your research area of interest. Just hovering the cursor over the names of the potential supervisors, you can know who falls into your area of interest and who you are likely to send an email. So I've just showed you one simple but very effective algorithm search strategy that you can use to find potential supervisors. You can see how we got here in less than 1 minute. We are already looking at a list. We are not just looking at one profile, we are looking at a list. So I get people ask me questions a lot of time, asking, okay, I want to know, so there are many people in the world, so how do I know many professors, many professionals in my field. How do I know someone, a professor in Canada, in the US, in Belgium, in the UK? It works the same way. Just follow the research personnel in country strategy. You will be able to easily access a list or a page that shows you a potential supervisor that is likely to also fall into your area of research interest. To the second strategy. The second strategy is to use Boolean operators. The second strategy is to use Boolean operators. Now, there are two Boolean operators I'm going to be sharing with you. And rather than writing or going with the strategy of research personnel in country, this algorithm strategy makes use of research personnel and country. And it does not make use of in, it makes use of and, research personnel and country. The second Boolean operator you can use is research personnel or research personnel. I will show you an example of what I mean here. So an example of the first is to write, remember I used palynology in the first example, so I will stick with that. So you want to go research personnel and USA. Rather than in USA, you want to go research personnel and USA. For the second example, you want to go professor of biochemistry or professor of chemistry. For the second, you are asking Google to provide you alternatives. So somehow, using the second strategy under the Boolean operator tip or algorithm search is to say, or is to ask Google to provide you two options. Provide me a list of professors who are in the field of biochemistry, or provide me a list of a professor in chemistry, while the first one refers to asking Google to supply you information about professor of palynology and USA. It's similar to using in, but it expands the function here. While in looks much more specific, and is quite broader. And so you might also get more results from using and rather than in. In is quite specific, but using and broadens your scope. Then when you use or, you are telling Google to provide you two options. I'm interested in biochemistry as much as I'm interested in chemistry. Or I don't mind, give me a list of people or take me to a page where I can find someone who is either a professor of chemistry or a professor of biochemistry. So let me demonstrate that to you now. So I'll start with the first example. That's the personnel, research personnel and country algorithm search strategy. So I'm that to you now. Let me close this. So I'm going to go professor of palynology and USA. So as you can see, it brings me here, and like I told you, while in is more specific and is broader, but here is a link that looks exciting to me because it's showing a group. So you can see this. It brought me to Louisiana State University's Geology and Geophysics department, where they carry out palynological research under, I believe it's under the supervision of Sophie Wani. And when you click here, you can visit the potential supervisors lab for you to have an idea of the scope of a research. And again, once you are on the page of an institution, it does not only give you opportunity to explore the particular professor's page or profile that took you to the institution's website. It also gives you the opportunity to look around, sniff around, check the list of faculty and staff within that unit or department. And probably Sophie Wani might not have funding at the moment. Another person in the department might have funding, but then it was through Sophie Wani's web page that you're able to get across to the page or access the page where the university lists the faculties that are relevant to your area of research. So this is, you can see how this worked, and if we attempt to click this, and let's say we want to see what a lab looks like, and so here we go. Here is a lab, and I can contact her. I can get information about the kind of research they do, and even from here, she has explicitly described what they do in their lab. So you can see my research program primarily focuses on coastal to marine sections. We conduct stratigraphic and paleoenvironmental studies in Antarctica, North Africa, Colombia, Gulf of Papua, and in the Gulf of Mexico region. So as you can see, if you are someone who is prospecting a supervisor in the area of palynology, you've just had someone whom you can write to, and beyond Sophie Wani, you can also check the university website, particularly the department website, to look for other faculty who are in your field. And you look through the list, look for other people in the department, write them as well as Sophie, because you don't know who would probably have funding at the moment. And when you do, you go to rest, and hopefully you get a positive response if you apply the strategy from the last training. So I just demonstrated to you the first option using personnel and country rather than personnel in country. Like I told you, it broadens your scope in, makes it more of a specific search, and broadens the scope of your search. So the second strategy is research personnel or research personnel. And in the example I gave, I used professor of biochemistry or professor of chemistry. Okay, so using that link, so it brought me here, and here is a link that looks very, very interesting to me. Let me close this. Okay, look what we found. We found the link. It took us directly to the list of professors at the University of Alaska Fairbanks who are either associate professor, assistant professor, or full professor of biochemistry and chemistry. Interestingly, we were interested in any of those fields, someone who is a professor in chemistry or someone who is a professor in biochemistry. Unfortunately for us, we found a page that lists professors in both fields, so it's a win-win. So the only differentiating factor here amongst these professors is the areas of their research. So this person focuses on neuropharmacology, the second person neurochemistry, then we have environmental organic chemistry, biophysics, atmospheric sciences. So it depends on your area of research. So if, for example, you are interested in inorganic chemistry, you are likely to want to send an email to William Howard. So depending on your field, you have the option of writing one or two professors from this list. So that is the second strategy you can use. That's the second algorithm you can use to look for potential supervisors fast. In 1 minute, in 2 minutes, you would be accessing pages of websites listing professors in the institutions that are in your areas of research, or it will take you directly to the professor's lab or the professor's page on the institution website. So you'll be able to easily access some of these details. The last strategy is to do a systematic search by rank. What do I mean by that? Assuming you have made up your mind that, all right, I want to study in the UK, or I want to study in the US, in Canada, in Australia, wherever you choose to want to study. So you want to go from the bigger picture to your goal, which is finding a supervisor. In doing that, you want to go from country to state to institutions, then you access potential supervisors. In this third strategy, it requires you to have a pre-planned goal. It requires that you have decisions. You've made decisions regarding, even if you've not made decision, but you have an idea of one of these. You have an idea of the country you would like to study, and if you don't have an idea of the country, but you have an idea of the institution, it's equally fine. So wherever you have information, you just plug in and move from there. So the example I will be sharing will be someone who does not know anyone, and probably has an interest in, say, archaeology, for instance. Let me use archaeology this time. So I don't know anyone. I'm interested in archaeology. I'm interested in the UK, but I don't know anything. So I'm going to be using that example in this training. So let me do what to do. So like I said, I don't know anything. I don't know anyone. Two things I know is I'm interested in the UK and I'm interested in studying archaeology. So from there, the first thing you want to decide is country. We already know it's the UK. All right. We don't know the state, and we don't know any institution. So what I will do is I will assume I have an interest in the University of Reading, for instance. Like I said, whether you already made a decision regarding the institution, chances are that you have some institution in your mind that you would like to go. So for me, I'll be using somebody who knows I want to go to the UK. I'm interested in archaeology. So I'm going to just show you what to do. I would go with someone who does not have any institution in mind. You just know that you are interested in archaeology and you want to go to the UK. So the first thing is to try the AND function. I would use Professor of Archaeology and UK. So it takes me to the University of Manchester. So that's the first thing that comes out. Now this is for somebody who does not have an idea of, you are open about any school you find. So you first start with the AND function to access the institution page. Then what you do is you look through the staff directory, and then you look at archaeology staff. So in 1 minute, I'm already accessing a list of professors in archaeology. So we have a professor who is head of classics, ancient history, archaeology, and Egyptology. Then the same thing here, and I have a lot of professors I can write. I would like to inform you that once you see anyone with the title of an emeritus professor, don't bother write the person. Don't bother writing someone who is an emeritus professor. It's just an additional advice I'll be giving you. It does not always end well. They are usually not available, or they are not in active service. So you don't want to waste your energy writing an email to someone who is an emeritus. They are likely not to accept graduate students. So you write people who are active and are actively doing research. So that's for someone who does not know anything. You just know you're interested in the UK, and then you're interested in archaeology. So using the AND function first can give you a directory of what to do. And as you will see, you have opportunities with many institutions on this page. Many institutions on this page. But if you know where you would like to go and you just want to do the search, you've already narrowed it to the UK, you know you're interested in Reading, all you need to do is to write University of Reading and archaeology. So you here you'll be looking for the bigger. You're not looking for a professor's page. You are looking for the department website. And so when you get to the department website, the only thing that interests you should be the faculty. It should be the faculty page. So once you are here, you have to look around and see what you find here. So here is me exploring their page, trying to look for potential supervisors I can write in the University of Reading. So if you try that and you are not getting any direct results, you can go back to Google to tweak your query such that you can change this to okay. So you can see what I did. I changed it from University of Reading. I changed it from what it was before. I think I wrote University of Reading Archaeology. It was a mistake. But what I meant to write was University of Reading and Archaeology. But now I've changed it to University of Reading and Archaeology Faculty. And you can see that without stressing myself, I have before me the link to the team. Without stressing myself, Can you see the magic that happened now? Without stressing myself, I am right in the website. I'm in the website where I have options as to the number of supervisors I can write. I mean, the list is quite encouraging. I'm sure I will be able to write at least 3 supervisors in this institution. All I need to do is to read more of their profiles and see if what their area of research interest aligns with mine, and then I write them. So you can see how, I just deleted that. You can see how just changing this algorithm brought results in less than 1 second. I have before me the list of professors I can write. If I am looking for master's or PhD in archaeology, all I need to do is implement these queries, and I have before me tons, list of supervisors that I can write and hopefully expect positive response from. So that is the third Google algorithm search query you can implement to quickly access potential supervisors. Regardless, you should apply the 3 strategies. One, to use personnel in country, and we are not getting many results as you will like. You can quickly switch to using personnel and country. When you use that, exhaust your options, move on to personnel or personnel, exhaust your options, then move directly to systematic search by rank. Works well if you know the institution that you would like to go. I demonstrated that. All you need to do is write personnel and department or research area, then add faculty at the end of your search, and you are likely to arrive at direct pages that takes you to the list of potential supervisors in an institution and in your area of research interest. I hope you have been able to gain from this webinar.